Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Mental Thickness podcast video cast. It's 11 p.m. right now. The first video I talked about like the physical journey into physical health, and it would only make sense to talk about some of the journey because it's a long journey and it's still going, but some of the journey into my mental health. Yeah, I'm tired right now, and it makes sense for me, or it's ironic, I guess, for me to be talking about this because it's been a stressful week. It's taken quite the toll on my mental health, but we're good. We're surviving and thriving. Mental health aspect connected to the physical health is a long one, but I feel it's important to take care, or at least start taking care of your mental health, because I think that will take a big part into starting your physical health journey. For me, without getting into detail, because again, I could talk for hours about this stuff, and I don't want to just give it all the way in one episode. Childhood was pretty rough, and I know many people have had a rough childhood. So for me, childhood was rough, and what ended up happening is I used food as like a comfort. It was, comfort eating. And because I was a skinny kid, so I got really big the older I got, and I wasn't active at all, really. Like, PE was like my least favorite thing to do. I was in the fire academy for a while, which was very enjoyable. I had a blast. It was so much fun, and I think that was the most physical I got in high school, because we had like an obstacle course we had to do, and we competed with ROTC and competed with the police academy. The football coach kept asking me to join the team. He said I would be a very good linebacker, but never had the funds to get the gear and do all that, so none of that ever happened. I was not an active teenager. It wasn't until my adulthood when I was seeking a little bit of help, but my mentality was that I wasn't going to sit there and tell my problems to this complete stranger. It just didn't make sense to me. The first time didn't go too well. Didn't last long at all. It was just a waste of time. Is how I looked at it. It's hard to break this down and try to summarize it in a little ball. So I'm gonna try and summarize this, and then if anybody has questions or topics or specifics that they want me to talk about, I'll gladly do that. I wasn't a very enjoyable person. I think I got to the point where I was I know I got to the point where I was starting to use my mental health as an excuse, and I was becoming a not so good person. I was doing bad things. I was treating people badly, pushing people away, being aggressive, and when signs happened of people not wanting to be around me, or I've succeeded in pushing them away, I felt abandoned. So I victimized myself, but I was the one who pushed them away. And some people felt bad, obviously. If anybody knew me, they knew I had like something going on, some kind of depression. And of course, if people care about you, they're going to try and stick around to help you out. But there's only so much anybody can take. I have abandonment issues. I was abandoned several times throughout my childhood. So I would push people away because I had trust issues. But then when they left, I would feel abandoned and hurt and angry, and I would just lash out because I didn't know how to control any of that. I didn't know any of this stuff. I mean, in my family, super macho Mexican family, therapy is not even a thing, a thought. Me growing up, but like, it didn't make any... Like, it didn't exist. I didn't know that was a thing to do. And then when I realized that it was a thing to do, I was like, you talk to strangers and tell them your problems and you get better. And this didn't make sense to me at the time. I was lazy and complacent, and it was all on me. I just used it as an excuse. It was always my go-to. It's like, oh, but I have depression, or I'm super sad, or this and that. Mind you that this was stuff that once I became aware of these terms and all these things, I was self-diagnosing myself. And there was a point where I like looked up symptoms and all these things that could have been, and I was convinced that I was bipolar, because I was happy and I was moody. So I'm like, I have to be bipolar. And I was telling people that I had a bipolar disorder when I wasn't diagnosed. I was using that as like a way to guilt people, to make them feel bad, to either stick around or to forgive me for when I acted like an asshole. If I showed poor behavior, and they were upset with me, and I wouldn't hold myself accountable, or when someone did try to hold me accountable, I would be like, but I have bipolar disorder and I can't control it. Like, don't leave me. I don't really know if I had a breaking point. I think it was just nonstop, like thing after thing, and I was just getting sick and tired, and people were leaving, and I just lost my train of thought. Wow, this is terrible. There was no like breaking point. You just kind of like, it grew. Like there was more internet, more like social media happening. So obviously people start getting more information a lot easier. Nothing can be good, and when something seemed good, all I was doing was waiting for the moment that it like went to shit. Like I was just waiting so I was feeling shitty. Then when I was feeling okay, I was anxious about when the shitty thing was going to happen again. And it was just an ongoing cycle, and it wasn't good, and I wasn't treating my friends right. Making excuses, like I said. And I apologize if I'm being repetitive here. So I got to a point where I decided that I did want to seek help. I'm like, okay, I've done my research. I'm like, I feel like something is going on. I need help. I need to like start working on this. This wasn't too long ago. This was just in a matter of years. Like, I think wrestling training and being a part of that helped, just because of the discipline part, and just having like raw conversations with our trainers and us, and being so open in such a closed group. I think all of that stuff kind of pushed me to doing things like that, and just being around more people. Like, it kind of trigger certain things, like just something isn't right, and then you talk to people who are smarter and know more stuff and are going through things, and in your mind you're like, oh shit, like that's a thing, like you can do that, I didn't know that. I didn't like the person that I was, and the more I talked to people, the more I got to know people and know about mental health, the more I realized that I didn't want to be this person. So I did get a counselor for a while, and it started helping me a lot. But financial stuff just wasn't, I couldn't have one super consistent. So I got a little bit of help and some understanding from this first person. Got back off of it, and I had like a little bit of knowledge, and the internet's more popular now, so you can do more research. Realized that I am not bipolar. I don't have bipolar disorder, so I felt pretty stupid. I was diagnosed with depression and PTSD. It seemed like when I was starting to feel progress, like in myself, is when like it stopped, like I couldn't do it anymore. And at that time, just like jobs and everything wasn't good. It was just a very, very dark time. I didn't want to be here anymore. The only thing that kind of held me was just the few good friends I had, and wrestling was keeping me here. Other than that, I just didn't want to be here. Last year, was it a year and a half ago, I got on betterhelp.com, and I got another therapist, and she was great, but wasn't she was good, but I didn't feel like I was getting what I needed specifically from her. Like, she would send me worksheets and stuff, and they were great, but I think at that time I needed more like of a personal. I needed it to feel more personal than just, here's a worksheet on this thing that you're like anxious about or sad about or angry about. And the worksheets were great, but I needed more than that. So I asked to switch. And then the person I got after that, great, fantastic. I was already kind of going to the gym like, meh. I'm just strictly talking about mental health and like, whatever. This is my story, my journey. This is what we're doing. If you guys watched the last video, it was pretty much on and off. At that point, I was going with Evan, but I was still too insecure to go on my own, so it was very choppy. There was no consistency with me going to the gym. Of course, the pandemic happened, so the gyms are closed, so we only have the equipment we had at home to work out. And so at that point, I was starting to feel better, like I was consistent, but it wasn't clicking. Like, I did it because I knew I had to, and I had nothing else to do because I was furloughed from work. So I'm like, I'm going to. So it's just like, I just kept feeling down because I'm like, oh, I'm starting and I'm being inconsistent, and then I'm starting to get help, and then the gym's closed. So what the fuck? I'm going hiking at this time, so I'm trying to stay active with everything going on. And now December of 2019 is when I came out of the closet, bisexual. Hi. Alphabet Mafia. I came out publicly, my Facebook and all that. And dude, the weight that came off my shoulders. I honestly think that doing that and then having like therapy and starting to kind of get a groove of the gym just combined. I don't know if like one, like it was a domino effect, like if one just started like helping the other, and I'm sure it did. Like therapy is the reason why I think I came out at that point. I was just trying to figure out a whole bunch of stuff. But all of that around that time just like was like working so well. I think that just helped to push me to be happier. And I say a lot. I'm so sorry. I came out to Evan. Was the first. Okay, well, I don't want to like throw people's names out, but someone that I know ended up seeing me on an app because I wasn't being secretive enough, and I sent a picture not knowing this person was this person that I knew. So they found out technically first, and then another friend ended up going to get a drink with, and through that time ended up coming out to that person. So these two people knew already, and then I think those two kind of helped push me a little bit because I was like, well, it's not that bad, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking, but those two people knew, and in that time I was trying to figure out through therapy what was going on with me. Like if my sexual orientation had anything to do with things that had happened to me when I was a kid. So I'm trying to figure out I had all these questions, whether it was trauma influence that I had this sexual orientation, and also if I was truly bisexual or if I'm just like trying to play a front. I'm like, I want to figure this out because if I decide, at that point I was talking to myself and saying if I was going to do it, I wanted to make sure for myself first and be 100% sure what was going on. Because I had experiences before, but there were, in my mind, it was like, oh, this is just an experiment. Because then out of high school, I had a girlfriend for 7 years. So it was just all these questions. It was just a bunch of shit that is too much to talk about right now. Once I knew, like, who I was and how I felt, I came out to Evan first through text, which is pretty dumb because I sent him a super long text, and at the end was like, I think I said, I'm not gay, but I'm not straight, kind of thing, something dumb. But then you realize that when you send a super long text, he's going to see like the last part first. So it's like, brr. I told him first, and then for maybe a month or two, I think it was about 2 months, the people that I felt closest to, I would send messages in private and kind of like come out to them first. And for some reason, it was always at the gym. Like when I was working out and I was alone, I would just kind of hit. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to tell this person. So I would message them and I would talk to them. And everybody was so accepting. The response I got in general was so overwhelming in a positive way. Like, I'm not used to that stuff, you know? So I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was just waiting for something like negative explosion to happen. I feel I'm fairly creative when it comes to like videos and pictures and all that stuff. And in my head, I'm like, well, if I do come out, like I want to do it my way with music and a video, you know, like a music video. And there's a song called Hurricane by I Prevail, and their music video to that is like a bunch of homemade clips with like text, like talking about their story. And the lyrics just kind of hit me a little bit. And the way the video was, a story, I don't know, it just got to me. And for me, that was relatable in that sense. So I'm like, I think if I do it, this would be like the way. So I made a video pretty much a similar style with that song. So I worked on it, I made it, and there was maybe 2 times where I'm like, I'm going to post it, and then I would delete it, and it was just a draft. So one day, I said, fuck it, and I posted it on my personal Facebook, and the response is, I went to the gym, and I was talking to Evan, I was like, well, if I'm going to do it on this personal one, because at first I was like, I'll do this personal one and see how it goes. And if it goes okay, maybe I'll put it like in wrestling, because there's way more people on there and fans and fellow wrestlers and all that stuff, you know. So I posted it and I'm like, well, regardless of the response I get, I don't want it to be like a bunch of questions as far as I'm going to post it here and all these people know. And then if anybody's like mixed in from both Facebooks or like some of the wrestlers I have on my personal Facebook or whatever, like I don't want it to be a thing where like, hey, did you hear about this? And this person's like, no. And then they're asking, so a bunch of people are asking me, hey, I heard this. So I'm like, I'm just going to answer that question now. And I made that post public for everything. So like at this point, everybody knew. And I was at the gym, and I'm telling you, the response, holy shit, the response I got, the like support and acceptance, fucking incredible. And like my fear for that is I joke around a lot, you know, joke around with the boys and stuff. So the 2 fears I had as far as wrestling goes is, one, my presentation. Like I'm a big dude, and here's this guy who wears a contact in his eye and all that stuff. So I'm like, people are going to look at me, and like it's just, I guess, that judgment feeling I had. And I didn't want to turn into this person who was like, I don't want to be identified by that. The other thing was like, I joke around with the boys. So like when I come out, are these guys going to be like, oh shit, so when this guy joked around with me, does that mean he wanted to like fuck me and stuff? No. Because I'm like, am I going to lose friends that I've made? Such a huge weight. I cannot like tell you guys. It was so fucking like, fuck. And it gave me like a boost, I guess, because now like I can be open and free no matter what. If I have like issues, I can talk to people, because they got to a point where no matter if it was a male or female, I was like hiding everything, like anything that had to do with my love life or people I was seeing or dating. Like I hid all of it, because I'm like, I can't let anything slip, so I can't like separate stuff. So I just gotta like nothing. So on road trips, when fucking talk about relationships and stuff like that, I just kept quiet, because I didn't want anything to slip. I didn't want to fuck up. And it was just so imprisoning, you know, to just not be able to like even speak to these people that you're like so close to. Just made everything like feel good. Like I was feeling good. And obviously around that time is when the pandemic happened. Did the working out at home, try to keep consistent with that. I was going hiking 2 or 3 times a week, plus doing the workouts here. And then the gym opened again. And in the time that the gym opened, I think it was maybe like a month, I went to the gym every single day, because at that point I was furloughed. Gyms were open, every single fucking day, and I was feeling better mentally, was feeling good. And then they closed again, and that was such a fucking hard hit, dude. When the gyms closed again, I wanted to fucking cry. And I think at that point I was like, do I love the gym that much now? Like, I was like, are you fucking closing again? I mean, I had a therapist at that point, so I was working through problems. I'm like, I'm just going to take this as a way of processing my stuff. So I was just working at all this stuff, and then not being at work, being furloughed. It kind of helped, I think, because I had time to, like, just work on myself and work on separate projects and do all that. And then the gym's opened again, so it's been good. Like, this is the most consistent I've ever been with the gym, and I've been feeling good. I'm like, I have like acquaintances, get to know people. It's nice to go to the gym and like, oh, I seen you, hey, give a wave. Like, the environment and just it's so fucking dope. Obviously, I still do feel insecure. There are times where I'm having a bad day and I look in the mirror, I'm just like, oh, you fat fuck. But those are becoming less and less, and I'm taking my own pace, and I'm just working at it, taking it day by day, and I see improvements. And whenever a challenge happens, like something hard in life, I'll take that as a test to like, okay, now this is where I get to use those skills that I've been learning, those exercises. Because it's fine when you're going to therapy and doing all this and things seem like they're going well, everything's fine. But the true test, in my opinion, one of the true tests is when life fucking comes to kick you in the balls. And like, how do you get up? You get up and you fucking, okay, this is where I get to use everything that I've been learning, and you fucking apply it and you do it. And I feel I've been doing pretty good at that. I still struggle, I still stumble. It's perfectly fine, but you get back up. I've done my best to stay on that road. The other day I had a pretty shitty day, to the point where I had my pre-workout ready and I was in the car. And when I got a phone call and I got some news that I knew was going to be bad. And in that moment, I'm like, all I want to do right now is go get a bunch of fucking junk food, sit at home, and eat all this shit. And I looked at my pre-workout and my fanny pack I had in the passenger seat. And I thought for a second, and I was like, nah. So I grabbed the pre-workout and I chugged it. I'm like, all right, fuck it. You chugged the pre-workout, so now you have to go to the gym because this shit's in your system. So I went to the gym instead of buying a bunch of junk food. And I was proud of myself for that, because it may not seem like a lot. It may, some people may just be like, well, you should have done it, or it's willpower, or you're fucking, whatever the fucking case may be. But for me, that was a win, because I could have easily used that bad situation as an excuse to fucking just binge on junk food all day. And I didn't. I went to the gym instead, blasted my music, and just took out my frustrations on the fucking weights. It's crazy because situations affect all of us. The same situation could affects all of us differently. So it's not like I don't think there's a one right way to do it, because what may seem terrible for me may be like okay for you, or what something that's just like the end of the world for somebody could be like, oh, that's not the end of the world. It's fine. You take care of it. It affects, different things affect people differently. So you got to figure out like how you do your stuff. I mean, how you cope with your things. And in my opinion, because I don't want to be the guy who's like, you should get therapy, you should get therapy. I think everybody should be in therapy, but for me it worked, and it helped me with my coping, my exercising, my processing. I'm getting better every day. I'll go through like my Facebook memories and I'll see him like, this fucking guy. How dare you? But I'm also proud of myself, because I'm like, I'm glad I'm not that person. I don't want to use my mental health as an excuse to be a shitty person. I don't want to use it as an excuse to be fucking lazy. I don't want it to define me, to be like, oh, there's that depressed guy. I don't want people to not want to be around me because I'm so miserable to be around all the time. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to vent and talk shit and be fucking pissed. But if you're always fucking miserable, like, who wants to be around that? I was someone I didn't want to be around, and someone I don't want to be around now. So I worked and started putting in work and holding myself accountable to not be that person. And yeah, I mean, as far as people that grew up with traumas, it's not our fault for things that happened to us when we were kids. It sucks that people did things to us. It's unfair, But at the end of the day, as harsh as it may seem, in our adulthoods, it becomes our responsibility to fix that. Nobody else is going to fix us. It's nobody else's responsibility to fix us. It's on us to fucking get better and do the work. And if we take that first step to getting help, the people that care about us are going to fucking flock to us to help us up. But you have to take the first step. You have to make that move and fucking get help. And it helps with everything else. Like I said, I can go on and on. I don't want to be repetitive, but it's helped me tons. Mental, physical, all that. And this is why I'm doing this, because I want people from all perspectives, all walks of life, all experiences to come with their open minds and talk about how they're getting through this stuff, how they got through this stuff. So maybe someone who's struggling, who doesn't know what to do, who doesn't know how to take that first step, to listen to one of these stories and be like, oh shit, I can't do that. I want to do that. Maybe you need a kick in the ass, I don't know what happened. I thought I was getting into the groove. I don't know what happened. My camera, I think, cut, but now it's going again. Fucking A. So, but yeah, I want this to be for people who are struggling, who don't know how to take that first step, or but they're scared or insecure. I want this to be for those people, because I still am those people. I'm with you guys. You know what I mean? I'm not done with this journey. I don't think I ever will be. But it's been great to take those first steps, and it's been great to be held accountable. And I have awesome friends who fucking tell me like it is and give me a kick in the ass when I need to get it. So I want this for you guys too. I want this for all of us. I want just all of us to have this community of positivity, but accountability, putting in work, getting shit done, and just lifting each other up. That's what I want. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. And sorry, I blanked out for a second. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you guys have any questions, leave them, send them to me, DM them to me, leave them in the comments, please. I will answer them. I'm going to try and have guests. I think the next one I may have someone just to start talking our stories of fucking bullshit. And it's not going to be like physical mental health, but it's going to be everything else. Music, wrestling, obviously, anything else. Because I want this to be real, raw. And I want you guys to know that you're not alone. Okay? So do that. Subscribe to the channel, please. And yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you guys in the next one.